Welcome to BizConnect, where we dive into the journeys of business owners exploring their beginnings, challenges, triumphs, and their exciting path ahead. I'm your host, Annalyn Carter. And today, I'm thrilled to kick off our first episode with an inspiring entrepreneur who embodies innovation, business savvy, and resilience, Latoya Rowe.
Thank you.
Welcome, Latoya.
Thank you for having me.
I'm absolutely grateful that you're here today.
Thank you.
All right. So I want you to start by telling us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? And about your business.
Well, my name is Latoya Rowe. I am a serial entrepreneur. I was born and bred in Miami Gardens, formerly known as Opelika. I was raised up and born into the real estate industry as a licensed loan officer, now a licensed real estate broker, and as well as a licensed title agent.
Okay. You said you were born into the real estate industry. So what does that mean?
When unfortunately I lost my mom and my grandmother at a very young age. My grandmother and my mom decided, because my mom was the youngest and my dad was my dad, they decided to leave their house to myself and my younger brother. Okay. At the time, I did not know, because when my mom unfortunately passed away, I went to live with my dad and we moved to Chicago. I hated Chicago. So when I became an adult, I decided to move back to Miami, and I was just living my life. I was a teen mom. I had my oldest when I was 17 years old, and I got served with papers saying somebody was trying to sell my house. Okay. I was 17 and a half, almost 18, I think, and living in the low-income apartments in North Miami. And I get a paper in the mail saying somebody's trying to sell your house, which was my grandmother's house, because I remember the address. So I reached out to the probate attorney. He scheduled a meeting with me, and he was like, your uncle is trying to refinance this house, and we did a title search, and you are the owner, you and your brother. Wow. And I was like, excuse me? I own a house. Like, I've been living better the most all of this time. So after about a 2.5 year battle, I decided to sell it to them, because I didn't feel as though it would be a place of peace for me, being that all of my uncles and aunts were fighting me. And I just took a liking into the process. So from there, I decided to get my real estate paralegal degree. I worked at a foreclosure law firm, and from that, it was all she wrote.
Okay. What was the pivot point that said, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur?
Being a teen mom, I went through a lot of dead-end jobs. I did always work in real estate. I worked as a file clerk at a law firm, a real estate paralegal. I answered the phones. I delivered mail. I pretty much did everything. And being a young mom, I worked really hard, and I missed a lot of time with my kids, especially my oldest son, which I call my trial kid. And just in doing that, I decided that I always wanted to have the opportunity to make my own schedule. When I was younger, I chased the dollar and not really understand time was more important than the dollar. So when I got to level of being able to maintain finances, I said, we need to figure out a way where I can get my time back. So I tried my hand in real estate a couple of times and went back to work a couple of times until I finally found my footing about 5 years ago.
Okay, so when you said you found your footing, what exactly did you start? Did you start the agent first, or did you get your real estate license and start selling real estate? Which one?
I've had my real estate license for about 18 years.
Okay.
I had my title agent license for about 12 years. And I've just recently became a mortgage broker for the last 3 years. I have been fortunate enough to work in a capacity where I was able to be hands-on in all 3 parts of the real estate transaction. That's awesome. I decided to say, hey, why not do it for myself instead of splitting a commission or not getting a commission at all when I was helping in every facet. So I just decided that it would be best for me to do it all by myself.
I'm going to go back a little bit, right? So when you got the property that you sold to your family member, can I ask, like, how much money did you get, and did you invest that money?
I made a little over $200,000.
Okay.
I was 19 years old. With my son was probably going on 4 at the time. Mm-hmm. I did buy property.
Okay.
I bought a car cash, which was stupid. A luxury car at that. I bought my brother a car. I paid for him to go through college, which was stupid. So we did a lot of dumb things, but I did invest with it in the mind frame that we did buy a house,
Okay.
and I did buy 2 parcels of land in Highlands County
Okay.
that I still own. So I was able to do some smart things, but if I knew what I know now, I would have kept the house.
So when you started your business, right? What were some of like the challenges that you had when you started? Like, were there any roadblocks that, that happened and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, but you kind of overcame those?
So the first time that I went full time, meaning I quit my job and I said I'm going to do this full time, was about 9 years ago. Right before I had my daughter, and I had a big real estate transaction, and I just was like, I can do this. I don't have to work anymore, and I just jumped out there without having a business plan, or like not even necessarily a formal business plan, but having a plan. I went and got a space. I went and bought furniture, computers, and everything,
Look
and
at
I
you.
didn't know, okay, what if the business doesn't, what if I don't get a closing? Or what happens if I'm not able to pay the rent next month as well as my rent? And I kind of fumbled in that sense because I didn't plan for the times that I didn't have the money flowing. So I decided to close and kind of go back to work, and I did at that time, yeah, probably about 10 years ago. At that time, I gave up. I was just like, okay, I'm going to work because I came from making a very good salary and doing okay for myself from where I come from originally. So I was like, you know what? I don't think this is for me.
But then you still came back because apparently you have this entrepreneurial spirit about you because you're here, you're doing it again,
So
right? So when did that happen?
that was around, I want to say 2018 when I had my youngest daughter, who's now 7. I had to go back to work. Probably, I gave birth on Sunday night, Monday morning.
Mhm.
I had 2 closings the Friday before. So I was at work until about 8 o'clock at night, and I was having contractions. And I just, that next day when I was home cleaning up, you know how you're nesting because you're getting ready for the baby to
Mhm.
come. So I'm home, I'm cleaning up, and I'm like, I don't think I could do this again. Like, I literally was having contractions, and my attorney is just like, we're going to get this done, and then you're going to be able to go have the baby with ease. And I'm like, so I might have the baby right here. So that following week, I had the baby on Monday. Friday, they had a big commercial closing, and I was home and I was working. Like, I literally had my baby on my boob and I was on the
Oh
computer.
wow.
So I was just like, I don't know. I'm getting older. I don't know how long I could do this. And I didn't want to miss as much time with my daughter as I did with my oldest son. So I said I was going to make a plan. I was going to save, and then I was going to work it out. I did go back to work one more time. And by that time a good family member of mine decided to start a real estate brokerage.
Okay.
And he was like, if you come and work with me and we do this, I promise you won't go back to work. And from there it was all she wrote.
Okay. All right. So working with this family member, right? Working with him again, I guess you had the entrepreneurial spirit again because you started your own business
Yes.
after that, right? So how long were you with him before you said, you know what? I want to do this on my own. I'm ready.
Probably about 2 years in.
Okay.
I saw myself doing a lot of the management work,
Okay.
a lot of the networking, and spending a lot of my time pouring into that
Somebody else's
business.
business.
Not only the real estate brokerage, but the mortgage broker as well. I have a passion for real estate. I always have. And it never felt like work. It never felt like I was working for somebody. I was always doing what I like to do. Sometimes that did not equate always the same to my family. So like I still was missing time. I still was, picking up the phone at 10 o'clock at night for a realtor who had a question or things like that. And it just the time again wasn't equating to the money. So I said, let's see how it could go for you, like 100% just you. It has been exceptionally well. I think God has been really good to me because I am a huge pessimist. I'll say, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I'm not gonna do it. Oh my God, this is gonna happen. So it has been going exceptionally well. Like I have been blessed in a way that everything has fell in place from the space I decided to get to the business that's been coming. I before I even open my doors, I already have 2 realtors. So it's been really good. So far, so good.
Good. All right. So I love that, right? So you never gave up. You always have this, I can do this attitude, or I can get this done, right? So I want to ask you, to have that spirit and that attitude, where does that drive come from?
I'm gonna be completely honest. That comes from not wanting to fail and coming from like not ever really having a solid foundation when it comes to like most people say, I have my mom and my dad, or they gave me this, or I inherited this. Everything that I ever had, I got it for myself. Anything that my children ever had, mommy works for it. So the fear of not being able to provide even drove me to go back to work 3 or 4 times before I decided I'm not doing that anymore. So that fear of being able to provide for my family and have the life that they've come accustomed to has been really the driving force.
What is like, I would say your routine to help keep you focused and productive?
That changes on a day-to-day because who knows what's going to happen the next day. But honestly, the first thing I do in the morning is I literally pray, like even before I get out of the bed, because being an entrepreneur, we don't have a set time. We don't have a set income. If we do this amount of hours, we're going to make this. So every day is really trying to figure out how we're going to maximize our time so we can maximize our return. So I really start my day like really just praying and asking God for discernment, direction, and what do I need to focus on, because I can get lost in the track of the day because I am a real estate broker, because I'm an entrepreneur, because I do mortgages, because I do title, I do wholesaling, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. Sometimes I can get pulled in different directions and lose track of time. So I really do just start my day and asking God, like, go before me today and point me in a direction that's going to be beneficial for me and everybody around me.
All right. So you just brought up a point. So like, you're the broker, you're the title agent, right? And then you're a mom and a wife, right? How do you find a balance? Do you get, how do you find that balance? Because that, for me too, being an entrepreneur and being a mom, a wife, it's hard to balance sometimes. So how do you find a balance?
It is a day, like I said before, it's a change every day. But it's easier now because I manage my time. Okay. So I know what ahead of time that I have to do tomorrow. So waking up and knowing I don't have to fight traffic to be to an office at 9:00 in the morning to try to make it to my son's basketball game at 3:30, get back to work, then get home to cook. My husband is a huge help. Like, I really cannot say that enough, because he could say like, listen, I don't want to be soccer mom today, or I don't want to cook today, but whenever I'm pulled in a direction, he kind of leans the other way or helps me. He helps me a lot, especially when it comes to the kids. So it's just us communicating what I have to do today. He does really, he takes my son to school in the morning. He makes sure my daughter has gas. He does a lot of stuff that I don't sometimes think about because I'm so focused on trying to get to work or get things done for work, or like before I can text him and say, well, what do you want for dinner? If it's a certain time, he's like, I've already done it. So like my husband has really, really helped me, especially in this time where I've just been brokerage, getting the brokerage off the ground. I really don't have to work on anything other than maybe like us focusing on a date night or something like that, because I feel like I'm driving him crazy. But he is really a big help.
All right, so we're going to give a shout out to Mr. Rowe.
Yes, shout out to Mr. Rowe. He's the name behind the Rowe Luxury Realty. So yes, definitely. He is a big help.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your business. How do you differentiate yourself from the competition that's out there?
I think my biggest difference is that I don't really see anybody as competition, and I mean that in the most humblest way. I think there is enough business for everybody, and I think everybody has their own lane. And like I said, I come from a family of, my husband is a real estate broker. My god brother, that close family friend, he's a real estate broker. He's very successful. I don't see anyone as really competition because we all have our lane and we all have our business. We all have our focus where we're great at, our strengths and things like that. I think just being me helps me succeed in what I do.
So is that your brand? Is your brand you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And when you say your brand is you, what is it that you bring that another agent doesn't bring? What is it that, like, if I'm looking to buy a house or to do business with you, what is it I'm going to get from LaToya that differentiate her from everybody else?
I think what differentiates me is I am authentically myself. You're always going to get LaToya, or most commonly known as Toya. You're always going to get me, and I think that translates to clients as being down to earth and easy to deal with, easy to talk to, easy to come with to problems, and just being forthcoming, because a real estate transaction is it's hard sometimes. And if you're not truthful with me throughout the process, it's going to make it harder. And then I feel like when they're comfortable with me and I'm comfortable with them, I can give them good news, or I can, warm them up to maybe something that they may not like. So I think that sets me apart from other realtors and real estate brokers, and plus the fact that I'm triple licensed, so I can do everything. You don't have to go anywhere. I am a licensed loan officer, real estate broker, and title agent. So when you come and you sit down with me, I can literally take you from the closing table to getting your keys.
All right, I like that. All right. So what is one of the biggest misconception about you?
That I'm the jack of all trades and master of none. So I get that a lot, because even announcing that I'm a broker, or now you're a broker, what are you going to do? Like, what do you like the most? Or what? I like it all, and I can do it all, and I can master it all. So I think that's the biggest misconception. I am very passionate about what I do, and anything that I put my name and my face on, especially if it's for me. And being that I've had the opportunity to work for other brokers in the same capacity, but for that brokerage, and still put my sauce on it, I think that the biggest misconception is that I won't be able to be great as your real estate broker, or be great as your mortgage broker, or give you an exceptional closing because I do all three. No, I very well can. And I don't want other agents or loan officers to be intimidated in the fact that I work in their capacity as well, because there's no, like I said, it's no competition. And I won't take your client if I'm doing your real estate closing and you're a realtor, and the same if you're a mortgage broker, or if I decided to work with another title agent. I truly love what I do, and the ultimate goal is to have the client have the ultimate experience. So I don't want anybody to have the misconception that, one, that I can't do all three, because I can, and I can do it very well, or two, that I am going to take your client because I hold the same licenses as you.
Okay. Have you been in a situation where other realtors or people in the industry have felt that way? Is there a time when that actually presented itself to you?
I did have a broker feel that we were doing a short sale, and she brought the listing as well as the buyer, that I overly communicated with the clients. And her and I had a serious conversation, because she's been in the industry for a very long time. She didn't give the expectation or present to either client what goes into a short sale. And I think that they felt, both the buyer and the seller, like it was a regular real estate transaction. And it's definitely not. It definitely takes much more time and due diligence. It's not a 30, 45-day close.
It is. It's like 90 days.
Yes. And then with the seller, I basically have to, like, I'm getting you approved for a mortgage when I'm presenting the short sale package to the lender. So they're like, well, I'm not buying a house. Why I have to give you all of this information? And I think because I sat down and I took the time to meet with the seller to explain why I needed what I needed, she felt like I was stepping on her toes, because I am a real estate agent. And I just wanted her to know that I wanted her client to be comfortable in giving me the information that I need to process the transaction. So I understand that comes with the business, but I want to set the expectation in the beginning that if whatever role that I am working for you or with you, I stay within that role unless there's a hiccup along the way.
So was she able to overcome that and understood where you were coming from?
Definitely, because I was able to negotiate a little higher commission for her. So she was happy in the end. Yes, because she represented both sides. So yes.
Is there any strategies that help you to be better at your business? There's any strategies that you practice?
I am big on studying. That's how I ended up getting all of the licenses, because I was like, well, if I'm doing this, I might as well go get licensed. So I'm very big on taking the classes with the board, taking my CE, the continuing education classes, to learn different what's out there. I mix and mingle and network with a lot of other brokers, a lot of other title companies, just to see what's in the industry and networking with different people, because that's how you learn.
When did you first realize that your business was successful?
Again, I have weigh heavy on my faith. I had a personal situation that happened about 2 years ago, and I had to pay about 3 or 4 different lawyers. And I told my husband I'm going back to work. And he was like, "Oh, here we go again." And I'm like, "I just want to make sure that I could pay what I need to pay." And I'm blessed enough that with my background and my experience, I can walk into a law firm and get a job. I can work into a title company and get a job, and not just be an assistant, like manage or be a supervisor. So with that being said, I met a wholesaler who hired me on the spot, and not only gave me what I asked for, he gave me a sign-on bonus because he really needed the help. So walking in the door, he gave me $5,000 to start and 105,000 for the year salary.
Oh, wow.
So when I came home and told my husband that, he was like, "Okay, well, maybe this will work." You know, he is one of the top wholesalers in the nation. And I go back to my faith by saying I did a wholesale transaction, as a title agent about 6 months before that, and the wholesaler made $55,000
On one transaction.
on one transaction. He's a realtor, but he didn't act in the capacity of the realtor. He found the transaction, he assigned the contract to a buyer, and he made $55,000. So doing the closing, I'm like, "Well, what is this?" And he was like, "Well, I wholesale." And he was very nice. He explained it to me, and I said, "Well, I want to wholesale." So fast forward a year later, I had this situation where I just was very concerned about finances, and I found this job for a top wholesaler. And I literally worked for him for 30 days, and I learned so much. And I went home one day and I just prayed. I was like, "God, if it's meant for me, like I really want to wholesale, I cannot work." I literally was at this man's office from 9 in the morning to 9 at night sometimes. He's nationwide, the top wholesaler. And a year later, I got my first wholesale deal on my own. I didn't call. I didn't solicit. Someone called me, and they were a friend of theirs was losing their house, and I wholesaled. In my first wholesale deal, I made $45,000.
I was going to ask you, you might tell them how much you made off of that deal.
And I tell people all the time because that's how I know, like, God is real. Exactly a year later, I closed on my first wholesale deal, and I made $45,000. And I said, "Okay, God, I'm not going back to work."
All right. Where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now?
5 to 10 years from now, I would really like to be a philanthropist. Like, I really would love to be able to give back to the community that I came from. Being that I had a hard or humble beginning, and I've been fortunate enough to encounter women who kind of had similar situations. I would love to be in a position to have affordable housing, provide like training for financial credit, home ownership, teen moms. Like that's always been like my ultimate goal, to be in a position that I have the ability to give back to people who probably had my same beginnings. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I would love to like own a space where I could house like teen moms, veterans transitioning to the workforce, those types of things, so I can give back to the community. And I would love to be able to do it in my community. That's why it was important for me to get an office space in Miami Gardens, like literally where I grew up, because a lot of the community is not looking like the community that I'm used to or that came up, and is making it unaffordable for the people who actually live there. So in the coming years, sooner than later, I hope to just be a philanthropist and be able to give back to where I came from.
What company would you choose to like partner with there to be able to, for you to accomplish that?
There is a lot of churches that do it. What I'm looking to do on a small level, they do it on a smaller level. The church that I grew up in, Jesus People, I know they bought the land like next door when I was young, and they're just starting to like build like affordable housing and stuff like that. So like non-for-profits, I would love to partner with. There's a real estate broker in Atlanta that I kind of like. I don't want to say idolize, but I really like her business model, and I would love to partner with her in the future, because she's doing pretty much what I like to do. Kiana Watson. Okay. She has a book called Clear to Close. I think it is Clear to Close. And like just reading her book, and some of our beginnings are similar, and just to see how great she is and how everything's turned out for her. I would love to like partner with people in the industry that are like me and have the like mind like me, to kind of grow my vision for where I want to go in the future.
All right. What was one of the biggest lessons that you learned as a business owner?
Everybody's not your friend. Everybody's not your friend, even though you may feel like you have the common goal and you guys may feel the same about each other. So you may start something together that doesn't pan out, or a lot of people don't want to see you surpass them. So they'll keep you at a certain level. So just being mindful. I'm a people person. I will sit down and talk to a bum on the street like I am, and I'll be wanting to take everybody with me. And that is not, unfortunately, that's not where we
You're a
come
giver.
from. Yes. And so just learning that, like, if I could go back, like, everybody doesn't have the same intentions as you. So you have to be careful in who you pray into.
Okay. Actually, was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I think her name is Mel Gibson. It's her book, or her theory is called "Let Them." Right. So with what you just said is like, everyone's not your friend. Just let them be who they are, and you figure out who you are and continue on that growth, whatever it is that you want to do. So yeah.
I think that's really, like, that's a big like life lesson that kind of equates to wherever you are in life, whatever industry you are. If you take heed to that, especially being a people person or like a giver, it'll make sure you're successful and you'll have less bumps.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so I want to get to a little fun part.
Okay.
All right, so if you had to pick an entrepreneur that you can have coffee with, dead or alive, who would that be?
Probably Kiana Watson.
Okay.
Probably her.
That's it.
Yeah, definitely would love to sit down and just I know the industry. Like, I mean, I know the industry and I know what works, but just how to get up every day and show face regardless of what's going on in life. And like reading her book, and she did have like she had a Netflix series, and then kind of understanding what went into that. Just seeing how she shows up every day, like spotless, like always polished, like that. I think in itself is like something monumental to have. Like,
Yeah, but I think that's like a drive or something. Like,
With-
she probably was born, like, it's innate. Like,
Yeah.
right. I mean, I think you can learn that too, but that takes it takes practice. Because, like you said, you got to get up every day and show up. Like,
even when you don't want to, even when you don't feel like it.
Right.
That's the biggest thing in entrepreneurship, being successful, even the days where you don't even want to get out of bed, or even the days that your personal life may be falling apart, even your business life may be falling apart, but you still have to perform.
So, if you had to pick 3 words to describe your business, what 3 words would that be?
Resilient.
Okay.
Definitely.
I said it.
Yeah, you said that in the beginning. Resilient,
You
definitely.
are definitely.
Ever changing, because the only thing that, is constant in the world is change. So
Right.
being able to maneuver and being a chameleon, because I think that's my biggest attribute, even as a person.
Okay. And if you had to pick a theme song to represent you, what song would that be?
Well, I'm authentically myself, so I would probably say "Corporate Thuggin" by Jeezy.
For those who don't know that, you should go look it up.
Yes. But no, and it's another song I can't think about. I love rap music, like that, like gets me through my day.
So what song do you listen to?
It's a Rick Ross song that, like, I'm a boss.
Okay.
Like, when I get into a vibe of like I'm not feeling like who I am, I listen to that sometimes, because I don't know, music just gives me and I'm not the typical girly girl. Like, I like rap music, I like hip hop, so I'm not like a R&B like
girl.
vibe. Yeah. So that what gives me the as Jesus would say, the thug motivation to do what I need to do, because sometimes we don't always, especially as women, feel like ourselves.
Okay. It was a pleasure having you.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
All right.
It was absolutely an honor to be a guest.
I hope I had all the. I would love to have you back again.
Okay.
All right. Just to see where your journey is, or where it leads you, maybe another year from now, or anytime you want to come back on.
Okay.
Or anything that's happening in the industry that you want to share with the audience, feel free to come on or call me, and I was like, hey, girl, I'm ready.
Okay, I'll be ready.
right.
Yes, I'll be more prepared next time.
No, you're good. You're
Thank
good.
you.
You're good.
Thank you.
All right. This is the first episode of BizConnect. Again, I'm your host, Annalyn. And this is Latoya Rowe. Latoya, tell them again the name of your company and where they can probably find you on Instagram or Facebook.
Perfect. I am the real estate resource, Latoya Rowe, and my brokerage is Rowe Luxury Realty, and we're located right here in Miami Gardens. You can follow me on all platforms at Close with Latoya.